Recently, I published a post on Instagram talking about the rise of the feminine. And this post received every possible reaction that you can imagine. From people saying they have goosebumps reading it, tears of release and healing, to all kinds of things being projected onto me. In this post, I talked about the explosive awakening of women in today's world, which is bringing an end to the paradigm of the masculine shadow of control and suppression of the feminine, which has inhabited this world for centuries. This paradigm is ending, and in women reclaiming their power, reclaiming their voice, no longer playing small, no longer abandoning themselves, returning to their essence, living from their true intuition, we can now see a lot of reactions to that. And what is so interesting is that it's often seen as a rejection. Why? Because the paradigm of power over the feminine is ending, and the paradigm of power with the feminine, the paradigm of union, has begun. Because union cannot exist when one is above the other. Union can only exist when both are in equal power, seeing and meeting each other fully. So the idea that the rise of the feminine and women reclaiming their power is taking something away from men is absolutely crazy. How can women reclaiming their power take something away of substance from men? That in itself reveals a very fragile ego that ties its worth to control, dominance, and power over, and is deeply afraid of being exposed in that. Because a man who is rooted in his highest power and truth is not feeling rejected by women reclaiming their power. He wants women to fully rise in their truth, to fully embody their voice again. He celebrates it, he cherishes it, because it's not taking anything away from him. In fact, it's inspiring him. And this is not about men versus women, men are bad, men only did bad things. No, this has always been, my message has always been about union. Women reclaiming their power is also men finding their true place and finding their true power. If you're open and willing to see it that way and let go of this shadow that inhabits so many men, let go of this shadow of control and find your true power as a man. It's not that men are not needed anymore. It's that men are more needed than ever before. But men who are kings, not men who want to cling to the suppression of the feminine in order to feel powerful, in order to feel worthy, in order to feel like a man. My name is Lorin Kren, and I'm a coach, author, and hypnotherapist. I help you to understand masculine and feminine dynamics at the deepest level. Many ancient prophecies speak of a woman coming and saving this world from the grip of the shadow. And this is not to be understood literally, it's to be understood figuratively, because what it means is that balance and healing can only occur with the rise and awakening and healing of the feminine, with the feminine returning to her true essence. Without it, we don't have any balance. We have a world of disconnection, of pain, and of suffering, because there is no union. There is a split, there is a suppression. And when one becomes suppressed, the principle of the feminine, then we're looking at a world that is split ultimately from the sacred and from the divine. And that is now embodied everywhere in the world. And this is changing. And it should change. And this is incredibly important for this collective and for the collective consciousness. And in ancient traditions, this was deeply understood, the feminine principle and its incredible importance. The divine masculine leading alongside together with the divine feminine. Women were shamans, women were healers, women were the medicine people. Women were an invaluable part of the council when decisions had to be made about the tribe and its future. And look where it all went. In many parts of today's world, only men in power make the decisions. There isn't really a council of the feminine or a council of the awakened feminine, because we have women in today's world who are so in the grip of the masculine shadow, they are not in touch with their true feminine essence and divinity. And the masculine shadow has decided a long time ago, in its cunning intelligence, that in order for it to survive and strengthen itself and keep feeding and growing stronger, it had to get rid of its biggest threat, which was the feminine. Because the feminine is a mirror. The feminine by nature exposes. The feminine exposes unconsciousness and disconnect from the sacred. Often the feminine is even described in ancient traditions as the gatekeeper of the sacred. So let's get rid of the gatekeeper. Let's get rid of this, the oracle, the mirror, and this important feedback of the feminine. Let's get rid of that. Let's suppress that. Let's push that away, because that's really uncomfortable. And then watch what happens. This might be a hot take on my end, but I genuinely believe and sense this intuitively, that the fall of any society begins with and ends with the suppression of the feminine. Because when the counsel is gone, intuition is gone. And then greed, hunger, and destruction start to take over. The rise of the feminine is not about not needing men anymore, and men are useless. Understandably, there is a deep anger in the feminine about what the masculine has done. But when the anger becomes projected and it's like men are useless, get rid of men, men are completely unimportant, that's not healing. That's not the rise of the feminine. That is deep, deep pain and wounding. And understandably, there's a deep anger, but that itself is also a deep disconnection from the sacred. Because we're here to meet each other and see each other fully, and to heal and grow in union, and not to fight against each other, or one having control over the other. The true rise of the feminine is the total opposite of not needing men. In fact, men are needed more than ever. Men who step into true kingship, to lead alongside the feminine, not over the feminine. The rise of the feminine has never been a threat to any single man in this universe. It's the single greatest opportunity for men to rise and to actually find their true power. Because the rise of the feminine takes away the illusionary sense of power, which is power over the feminine. Nothing of substance can be taken away when the feminine reclaims her true worth and power, because that in itself will be dysfunction if power is taken by someone rising in their truth. Doesn't make any sense. Why is it then such a threat for so many men in today's world about women choosing themselves, women who are no longer abandoning their hearts, their intuition? And as a woman listening, it's so important that you do not dim your light to make the fragile ego of some men comfortable. The right man will not just tolerate your power, he will thrive because of it, because it's also an invitation for him to let go of any illusionary sense of power and to find his true power. Because we men have been totally lost. Men who suppress the feminine, that's just a strong ego leading, and men being totally lost. So this rise of the feminine is a recalibration. And it also means that as men, we need to let go of the sense of entitlement, that just because we're men, somehow respect is given. Because respect is earned. We have to show up. And because of this shadow, there can be a deep sense of unchecked and unconscious entitlement. Just because we're men, we are entitled to all kinds of things. To have sex when we want to have this, to always be the leader. No, we can have anything, but we gotta do the work and go deep inside ourselves and lead from a place of truth and the sacred. And then all the doors open. But if it's out of alignment with the sacred, in this new paradigm, there is no more place for this. A man rooted in himself does not have an issue with women reclaiming their true essence. He celebrates it, he cherishes it, he's inspired by it. He thinks, how wonderful. Watch her blossom, watch her flower, watch her soul bloom. women building a business or women who want to be in more traditional roles. It's all fine. Women becoming highly successful. Whatever it is that women want to do or their soul is called to do in this life. It's beautiful. It's incredibly inspiring. And here is the incredible paradox about all of this, that when a man allows himself to be inspired by it and stops unconsciously living from that masculine shadow of control, which feeds his own self of fragile masculinity, he gets all the respect and all the admiration, and he gets truly seen by the feminine in his true essence. Like, men, whatever you need, whatever the needs of men are, they all become met the moment they let go of this shadow and help usher this new paradigm. And so many men then believe it's becoming weak, it's becoming a pleaser, it's giving in. It's the opposite. It's true kingship, it's true warriorship. It's so much easier to still cling to a sense of control, and it's so much harder, and it's the true path of letting go of that. Letting go of that which has inhabited this world for centuries and saying no more. And this idea that then men become meaningless and men are pushed to the sidelines, no. Men will be seen truly for who they are, not because they're forcing anything or dominating anyone or taking, but because they're embodying their truth. And the woman who is in her truth, she will see it, she will cherish it, she will love it. I even saw men saying, clearly, when I wrote that post, they said, clearly you don't have the pants on in your relationship. All of this reveals that this idea of leadership has been so distorted. I could not feel more seen and honored as a man in my marriage. I'm not trying to dominate my wife. I want to see her blossom. I want to see her flower. I'm here to help her return to her true essence, just like she's here to help me return to my true essence. Together, we help each other. We're both leading in our own way. My masculine qualities are deeply honored, just like her feminine qualities are deeply honored. No one is above the other. There is no dysfunctional dynamic. There is just truth and awakening. There is no threat. There is no rejection. No man is pushed to the sidelines except the man who is not willing to look within. Those, they will suffer. They'll be pushed to the sidelines. They'll project and project, but you're holding onto something that's falling. This is alignment, the sacred being restored, or better to say, the sacred returning to the way we live. And this would be an enlightened or awakened civilization where there is union and both see each other fully and honor each other fully. The shadow needs a split. It needs a separation. It needs a deep disconnect for it to thrive. But the moment that is gone and there is union, wow, there is a collective healing that will ripple through, and this is already happening. So, as a woman listening, it sounds cliche, but keep going, because you're here to help usher this new paradigm. You are so needed. You no longer abandoning yourself and shrinking is so needed. Let things burn in the fire of your love. Of course, you have to look inside and you have to make sure it comes from a place of love. The moment it goes, all men are bad, men are useless. But most women listening to this, you don't think that way. You want a man and his true kingship. You are so connected to this. And as a man listening, let the rise of the feminine take all that of you, which is not really who you truly are. And what you're left with is not confusion. What you're left with is a clear path and an initiation into who you truly are. True masculine presence, true masculine leadership, true masculine kingship. This is an amazing time to be alive. No one is pushed to the sidelines. It's not about men versus women, one being in power. It's about both rising together. Imagine what becomes possible when a man in his true power meets a woman in her true power. That is the end of the old game, the end of the old paradigm. And it is the beginning of a new world. It's not about matriarchy replacing patriarchy. It's about balance being finally restored. It's about men and women meeting one another fully, both in their rightful power, in their rightful divinity, building something together that humanity has barely begun to taste. Thank you for listening. Thank you for walking this path with me. If this episode has deeply spoken to you, it would mean the world to me if you can rate it 5 stars, the show, or give a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube. This is an extremely easy and short way, only taking a few seconds of your time, for you to support the show, for us to continue serving you entirely for free here at the highest and deepest level. If I can get 30 seconds of your time or 45, if you write a little review or leave a little comment, that goes even further. And of course, if you share this with someone who you think can benefit from this, or share in your social medias, these are all easy ways how you can support the show that go really a long way. If you want to benefit from more free offerings of mine, I've got a newsletter. Every Friday, I send out a value-packed email about a different topic, many topics that don't make it into social media, longer form, in-depth content. You can just visit lorinkren.com/newsletter. I also have free ebooks and books, lorinkren.com/books. And if you want to check out any other offerings of mine, lorinkren.com/trainings. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be of service.